Hey, this is going to be our Secrets of the Battlefield and Rock Carvings video here on Gettysburg Battlefield Facebook. We're going to take a real quick look at this area. Over here in the distance is the Bloody Wheat Field. To our right is the Rose Farm. This is the Irish Brigade monument of the 63rd, 69th, and 88th New York Infantry, which we're going to take a look at in a minute. And then the Rose Farm is just beyond that way. We're going to turn back here at the 5th Michigan Monument. When you come to Gettysburg and you're standing here in front of this monument, one of the rock carvings that is often not seen and overlooked actually sits here in this boulder in front of it, and the initials PB are actually carved into the rock right here. So that's one of the little secrets. Also, if you're to walk behind the 5th Michigan Monument, and most people, as they drive up the road in their car, they'll take a look at the Irish Brigade Monument, which is across the street, which seems to be a popular monument, and they'll drive right on by like this gentleman here did in this car. Most people, and as this person speeds up the road about 40 miles an hour on a 25, you'll also notice that they didn't stop to look at the monuments or anything either. So most of the time as people pass by here, sometimes fast, they won't look behind things. And if you walk behind the 5th Michigan, you'll see a plaque that says, "Behind this group of rocks on the afternoon of July 2nd, 1863, Surgeon Z. Bolston Adams placed the field hospital of the 32nd Massachusetts Infantry, members of the 2nd Brigade, 1st Division of the 5th Army Corps. He established so near the line of battle that many of our wounded escaped capture or death by its timely aid. Placed by the Veteran Association of the regiment." And basically what that means is Z. Bolston Adams set up a field hospital, a triage field hospital, right behind these boulders here, protecting him from the oncoming assault of the Confederates. And this was probably, on the battlefield, one of the closest to the battlefield field hospitals during the Battle of Gettysburg. That rock we call the Dock Rock. The Dock Rock sits behind the 5th Michigan Monument and also behind the boulder that has the initials PB. Now we're going to walk across the street here at the Irish Brigade Monument. A lot of people love this bronze monument with the Irish bloodhound on it because of its artistic nature. It's very Irish. It's got beautiful bronze work, and then the Irish hound in the front is absolutely gorgeous. One of the secrets, and of course, if you go back and watch my video series, The Black Hole at the Wheat Field, and also the series called The Wheat Field, you can go and see the actions of the 14th New York Battery, 63rd, 69th, and 88th New York Infantry that were a part of the battle here at the area of the Rosewoods and the Wheat Field. However, what the secret about this monument that not many people know or take notice of is on the right side of the monument there is a inscription that says, "This in the matter of size is the structure truthfully represents the girth Irish wolfhound, a dog which has been extinct for more than 100 years. At the time this monument was placed here, it was believed that the Irish wolfhound was an extinct dog. And as we know today, it is still not extinct, that it wasn't extinct at the time. So that was actually an oversight and a mistake that was written about the Irish wolfhound and placed here on a monument at the battlefield of Gettysburg. So here, again, as an example of what we try to do here at Gettysburg Battlefield Facebook, is we try to go a little bit more in depth than just looking at regimental movements and actions, but we take it a step further into the backwoods, the off the beaten paths, and the secrets of the battlefield, which in this case, just in this one spot between two monuments, there's basically three interesting facts. There's a rock carving that says PB, there's a dock rock of probably the closest field hospital, the surgeon Z. Bolston Adams of the 32nd Massachusetts Infantry. And then across the street here at the Irish Brigade Monument is an inscription on the side that reads that the Irish Wolfhound is represented here on this monument, and that it had been extinct for 100 years at the time this monument was placed, which of course is not true. This has been Secrets of the Battlefield here on Gettysburg Battlefield Facebook. On the Emmitsburg Road, in the distance is the General Lee Monument. This is the field of cross what Pickett's charge happened. There's the copse of trees in front of us. I'm just bringing it in a little bit closer look to the Emmitsburg Road area so you can see the copse of trees up closer. But the real reason for this video is a little known fact that not many people know about. As you look at the copse of trees and then you go over here toward the angle, okay, if you turn left to where the old cyclorama was at, you're going to see this huge pine tree right here. Now this area right here, this field, during World War I in 1918 was a camp. It was Camp Colt. And actually Camp Colt, they had tanks and such out here on this field where they trained. This tree was planted in 1954 by the United States Army Tank Corps. That marks the spot of Camp Colt, which was the birthplace of the Tank Corps United States Army in 1918. The tree that's planted here was actually planted in soil of all of the 48 states that existed at that time. And it was dedicated to the commanding officer, Captain Dwight D. Eisenhower, who on January 2nd of 1953 was inaugurated 34th President of the United States. So this tree is a living testimonial of his 1918 Tank Corps comrades. So this tree here, which is on the old site of Camp Colt on the Gettysburg National Military Park and at the high water mark, is a tree that was planted in 1954, just a year after he became inaugurated as the 34th President of the United States. Though it's not a witness tree, it is a historic tree because of its soil planting. It's the only tree in the United States that has been planted in soil from 48 states. And of course, at that time, there wasn't the state of Alaska and Hawaii in our union, so those two soils ceased to exist from this tree. But this is the Tank Corps tree, and it sits here right in the shadow of the angle and the copse of tree there in the distance, and about a mile or so from where Robert E. Lee Monument, Virginia Monument, stands out there on West Confederate Avenue, and at the scene of Pickett's charge, which was also the scene of a 1918 tank Corps camp called Camp Colt. This has been Off the Beaten Path, and once again, as always, I thank you for watching our videos. Taken in 1926, looking northbound at the Gettysburg Square at a place called People's Drug Store. And we're going to talk about this photograph and its relevance to the Battle of Gettysburg. This is what the site looks like today. Here, on June the 26th, 1863, Confederate General Jubal Early came into town. I did a video series called The Unknown Battle of Gettysburg, which took place on June 26, 1863. And you'll want to go back and watch that video series. And in that video series, I mentioned the fact that Confederate General Jubal Early arrived here on the Gettysburg Square, took down the American flag, and put up the Confederate flag. And it was here that General Early watered his horses just south of the square and wrote a requisition to Gettysburg to supply his troops with supplies and money and food. A man named David Kendrick, who was the town council president wrote a reply to Early stating that the town could not possibly meet his demands, but the town would open its stores for the Army to forage what they could. What was being asked for was rations, supplies, whiskey, shoes, as well as cash. And after these stores were open, they got 2,000 rations out of some train cars. Early's troops would later burn the Rock Creek Bridge, which you can go back and watch another video it did, the burning of the Rock Creek Bridge. Now, the man in that photo in the beginning of our video, which I'll also post, was a man named Joel Danner. And Joel Danner is standing in the shot right about here, next to today where this lamppost is. And where this lamppost is, if you look in the photo, you'll see a water pump with a large metal kettle at the bottom. And this was the original water pump and the kettle that Jubal Early used to water his horses here on June 26, 1863. Now, when that photograph was taken, somewhere before 1910, Joel Danner, who's in the photograph, actually owned a souvenir shop right across the street over here. And there is an August 6, 1910 Gettysburg newspaper article talking about the pump and kettle being removed, which of course sometime probably in the year 1910, 1911, the original water kettle and pump, which Early used to water his horses as his troops passed by here, was removed and gone forever. Today, here where the Union Square building is, there's a lamppost here that marks the approximate spot where that water pump was. And this is one of our Secrets of the Battlefield videos that we're doing on Early's watering post and kettle here. That kettle is no longer here. And of course, this is now, because of that, an unknown site that most people who visit Gettysburg don't know what once existed here. It's part of our history, unfortunately, that was lost due to progress. So this has been the Early watering post, Secrets of the Battlefield, here on Gettysburg Battlefield Facebook. I do want to mention one other reason I was able to find this site. If you look in the photograph and zoom in on the photograph, you'll see a sign that says People's Drugstore. I later Googled People's Drugstore and found out that it sat here at 25 Baltimore Street, or at that time, which was 25 Baltimore Street, which today is 23 Baltimore Street, and it's just beyond the Fonstock building here. Once I was able to Google the location, I was able to come out here, investigate, and find the location. Based on the photograph, you can see the building here, which is the Hotel Gettysburg, which you can clearly see in the photograph. You can also see the bar over here, the top of the roof, and then the higher building next to it. You can also see the McLean building, which we did a video on here, and because of that, I was able to determine the site of the water pump as here where this lamp is today. This has been Early's watering post, Secrets of the Battlefield, on Gettysburg Battlefield Facebook. At the high water mark, in the distance there is the copse of trees, and then this is the 39th New York Infantry Garibaldi Guards, and behind it the equestrian statue to General Gordon Meade. And today we're going to talk about Secrets of the Battlefield, an unknown road. When you come to the Gettysburg National Military Park, very often you see, and the park is designed to have roads named after different commanders, such as Birney Avenue, Howard Avenue, Sickles Avenue, Dietrich Grand Avenue, Crawford Avenue, and so on. And a lot of times, not in every case, but a lot of times, you can find different areas of the battlefield or monuments based on those avenues. For instance, if you were to look under a particular commander and know that a certain regiment was under that commander and that person's avenue is in a certain spot on the battlefield, chances are you're going to find a monument or a marker to that regiment. However, and that doesn't work in every case. However, when you come to the Gettysburg National Military Park, one person that you don't see an avenue named after is the overall commander of the Federal Army, General George Gordon Meade, rather. Out of all the commanders, the overall commander doesn't have an avenue named after him, and the reason for that is very simple. One doesn't exist, but one did exist at one time. Meade Avenue was a late 1800s road that sat right here just to the left side of the 39th New York Infantry, just about in this position right here, where the low part of the ground sits right here near the drainage. And Meade Avenue was a car access road in the early days of the automobile that ran straight ahead, down the hill and to right by Meade's headquarters. And that lane existed there for about 40 years, and then sometime in the late 1930s, it was either 1937 or 1938, the avenue was taken up and the walking trail was put in. And the reason for that is simple, that with the modern car, access to the battlefield and a lot more traffic, it was easier for them to continue just having the cars come up here than a very tight intersection over there on the Taneytown Road. So Meade Avenue only exists in memory and in old photographs, and not is no longer a avenue here on the battlefield. So again, this is Secrets of the Battlefield. The old Meade Avenue, which we're standing in the little low part on the ground where Meade Avenue once ran from Meade's headquarters on the Taneytown Road to this point up here near the Garibaldi Guard New York Monument here at the high water mark. Other video that you might want to check out is the video I did on George Gordon Meade, which you can see his equestrian statue there in the distance. If you want to know a little bit about the history of and the life of George Gordon Meade. This has been Secrets of the Battlefield, Meade Avenue on Gettysburg Battlefield Facebook. On the north side of East Cemetery Hill. And today we're going to do a little video on Secrets of the Battlefield. And when visitors come to Gettysburg, one of the areas that seems to be visited often is an area called Spangler Spring. And of course, a lot of that is stories, folklore of Union and Confederate soldiers sharing the spring for a source of fresh water, when in actuality it was probably more accurate to say that that spring was used by both sides during the battle as they had occupied the ground. But there is another spring here in Gettysburg called Menny Spring, and it sits here just on the north side of the Evergreen Cemetery Gatehouse here, in this direction here, and we're going to take a walk down to it. Also, while I'm here, the tree that sits here at the spring is a witness tree. It is one that was here during the battle, and is still alive and well today, as you can see. And this is a lesser known and lesser visited spring than Spangler Spring. It sits here not far from the field where the Carolinians charged East Cemetery Hill on July 2nd of 1863. And there's the sign for Menny Spring, as well as the witness tree. And then the spring is right here just behind the sign to the left. And actually this spring is a lot more well preserved in its more original state. It's not capped like Spangler Spring is. And then again, the living witness tree here to the Battle of Gettysburg. This is a very peaceful area, one that isn't very well visited, yet very, very beautiful. This has been Menny Spring on Gettysburg Battlefield Facebook.